Aliens definitely exist, and they could be living among us on Earth, says Britain's first astronaut. You know, when I read this headline, I got excited. Something interesting is finally going to happen. Let me tell you, life's kind of boring, isn't it? People look for things to fulfill them, but life is very droll, routine. You travel around the world. I've been to so many countries, and everything's kind of the same. I mean, there's subtle differences. There's language differences. There's McDonald's. There's Hard Rock Cafe. It's all very much the same. We want to believe in something better. We want to see this headline and believe that aliens do exist and they do live on Earth, according to Britain's first astronaut. And our fingers are crossed. But then when you read the story, you get a little bummed. He's not talking about, like Men in Black. He's just saying on other planets somewhere, we can't see them. They probably exist. And he's right. I'd like to imagine that he was actually saying they exist because they're on Earth and he knows it, but he's not. He's just saying the universe is so big, it's in all likelihood they do. But he does go on to say maybe they're on Earth. And there's an idea I want to talk to you about, kind of like decoy ducks, right? The ducks don't know they're not real ducks. Let's expand on this later, but let's read this for now. From CNN, aliens definitely exist, Britain's first astronaut has said. And it's possible they're living among us on Earth, but have gone undetected so far. Helen Sharman, who visited the Soviet Mir space station in '91, told the Observer newspaper on Sunday that aliens exist, there's no two ways about it. There are so many billions of stars out there in the universe that there must be all sorts of different forms of life. Will they be like you and me, made up of carbon and nitrogen? Maybe not. Then, in a tantalizing theory that should probably make you very suspicious of your colleagues, Sharman added, it's possible they're here right now and we simply can't see them. Sharman was the first of 7 Britons to enter space. The chemist spent 8 days as a researcher on the space mission when she was 27, making her one of the youngest people to enter orbit. NASA rovers are trawling Mars for evidence of past or present life forms, but humankind's endless fascination with extraterrestrial life forms has so far proved fruitless. Sharman is not the only person to speculate that we've had brushes with aliens, though. A former Pentagon official who led a secret government program to research potential UFOs, revealed in 2017, told CNN at the time that he believes there is evidence of alien life reaching Earth. Elsewhere in her interview, Sharman said there is no greater beauty than looking at Earth from up high. I'll never forget the first time I saw it, she added. Sharman also discussed her frustration with observers defining her by her sex. People often describe me as the first British woman in space, but I was actually the first British person. It's telling that we would otherwise assume it was a man. When Tim Peake went into space, some people simply forgot about me. A man going first would be the norm, so I'm thrilled that I got to upset that order. CNN has reached out to Sharman for comment. We had another story. NASA could find alien planets that host life after new oxygen breakthrough. This is the real news. This is cool stuff. I'll read it for you in a second. But let's talk about aliens living on Earth. We do different kinds of decoys. We have decoy ducks. We put them in the water. The ducks can't tell the difference. As far as they know, it's just a duck sitting there not saying anything. There's a really sad photograph of a decoy puffin. And the decoy puffin has one peg putting it in the ground on a rock. The other puffin, seeing it, raises its leg trying to socialize. And I saw that and it made me wonder, what if aliens have sent decoy humans to entrap or to study humans? It's possible we can't tell the difference. It's possible you'll be walking down the street and you'll see a person standing around, looking around, saying nothing, and you'll think nothing of it. It's just a person. But seriously, it could be a robot. There could be, listen, when the ducks look at the decoys, they don't go and touch it. They can't tell the paint from the feathers. They have no idea. For us, we're a bit more discerning. We're very visual. So if we saw a human, you'd probably know if it was painted and on a peg and like a scarecrow. We'd get it. But what if it's animatronic and just a simple robot sitting in a chair, throwing breadcrumbs to the birds, and we walk past the person and never say any words otherwise? No one interacts. The animatronic gets up, walks away, gets picked up by the aliens, none's the wiser. What if the aliens are even more advanced? What if they make humans that are biologically human, but they're like replicants? And so they're programmed and they're mindless avatars controlled by the aliens. We can't tell the difference because as far as we can tell, they live, breathe, bleed, etc. That would be awesome. But you know what? I'll save that for the sci-fi because it's just speculation and there's no evidence to believe aliens have actually come here. But now we can maybe find aliens on other planets because there's a new breakthrough. Story from The Independent. Scientists have found a new way of finding oxygen on distant planets that could help them discover alien life. Now, it's also important to point out, life doesn't need oxygen. It's possible that life exists in ways we can't even imagine, or that it's not based on water, but some other liquid medium, not even carbon-based, maybe silicon-based, maybe something else. Let's read. The technique could be used by NASA's James Webb Space Telescope to sniff oxygen on planets in distant solar systems. That, in turn, could help discover planets that are alive and could be home to extraterrestrial life. One of the possible indicators of life on other planets is oxygen in its atmosphere. On Earth, oxygen is created when living organisms convert sunlight into chemical energy, and scientists think the same might happen on Earth. The assumption, though, is that all life follows the same chemical makeup. I will say, it's true, though. I'm not saying they're wrong. I would defer to the scientists. In terms of finding life like us, we absolutely should be looking for oxygen. But it's also entirely possible that oxygen is naturally occurring. And I will point this out too. Oxygen is actually hostile for life. I could be wrong, but in my general, research and reading of this stuff, we evolved to be able to survive oxygen-rich atmospheres. Oxygenation destroys simple bacteria and life. So life evolves in water, this is my understanding, in certain undersea vents, volcanic vents, and slowly evolves the ability to withstand heavy oxygen environments. It was the bacteria and stuff in the oceans creating oxygen as a byproduct, spitting it out, and it then, put oxygen in the atmosphere. It's probably it's entirely possible, as far as I know, that some planets may just be oxygen rich. And if that's the case, we might assume we're seeing life when we're not. Granted, I defer to the scientists. I take their word for it. If this means they can find life, it's a breakthrough. Awesome stuff, they say. Scientists hope the new technique could allow them to spot the same signal coming from other planets, and in so doing, perhaps spot planets that might be home to alien life. But I would say more importantly, to help discern planets we could potentially colonize. The breakthrough described in a new paper published in Nature Astronomy allows NASA's telescope to detect one of the signals that comes from oxygen molecules when they collide with each other. As they do, they block out a specific part of the infrared spectrum, and the new telescope will be able to see that and give scientists a clue to the distant world's atmosphere. Technology like the James Webb Space Telescope is the best hope for examining such distant planets, since they are too far away to ever visit or ever see in much detail. But it requires incredible advanced technology because of the weakness of the signals. Quote, before our work, oxygen at similar levels as on Earth was thought to be undetectable. This is with Webb. Thomas Fauches from NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center and lead author of the study said in a statement. This oxygen signal is known since the early 1980s from Earth's atmospheric studies, but has never been studied for exoplanet research. Spotting oxygen on a planet might not be a guarantee that something lives there, like I said. Scientists have proposed alternative explanations that could create oxygen on exoplanets, and so it might not be a definitive indication that the world is alive. Well, I'll tell you this. I think the most important thing is not necessarily trying to find life, but maybe find a place where we could terraform and create life. We need to find a planet in the Goldilocks zone. That's the zone of a temperature that would be hospitable for us and our form of life. For a long time, they thought life was going to be like we were, carbon-based, of a certain temperature. Not true. There's now some theories that life could use different chemicals at different temperatures. But at the very least, tracking planets that could support human life, colonization. What if we loaded up a life bomb? We created something full of bacteria, seeds, soil, and energy, a very, very large system. And I don't mean bomb as explosion. I mean a vessel we send that is capable of sustaining life to a planet that can sustain life, and we seed that planet with life. Maybe there is no other life in the galaxy, in the universe, but maybe we can take something, a small I say small, but maybe a really large ship that could we find a planet that has all the chemicals that could sustain life. Maybe it's an experiment. Maybe we send a rover to a planet. We have the ship expand, releases seeds, pollen, and just slowly tries to evolve and grow, and we watch it. Maybe we could terraform a planet. Maybe it would take tens of thousands of years or hundreds of thousands of years, but maybe we just do it anyway. And then maybe in a few million years, the planet will be just like Earth, and they'll have no idea it was seeded by us, and we will no longer exist. But I like to hope we can colonize the stars. I'll leave it there. I hopefully can talk tomorrow. I was playing the video game for 3 hours last night and I killed my voice. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. youtube.com/Timcast.